well, it did sort of show up NAIC, so maybe it can take another big title. But Shohei's resume looking a little bit longer and going back quite a bit further. Top 4 Japan Nationals in this season, top 32 at Worlds last year. 2019 made top 16 at NAIC, definitely traveling, like you mentioned earlier, Scott. And then in 2017 was a Japan National finalist. He's done so well in Japan, and I think Worlds has always been a bit of a hurdle for him. Now he's given the opportunity to convert.
It really seems like he's figured out. When you see his group of 6 Pokemon there, as I mentioned before, you have something that a lot of players have been looking at as one of the teams they really need to have a good answer to. I think one Pokemon to keep in mind there is that Iron Hands. It could be a really critical Pokemon in this matchup, and has looked really good on stream all weekend. Always seems to be the last Pokemon remaining.
Yeah, Iron Hands, Amoonguss is real staples so far, obviously pairing off with the Fluttermane, which has been such a big thing in so many of these matches. But it's going up against a different Ghost type, and maybe that could add something a little bit different to this matchup.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see how it plays out. We saw a pretty bombastic semifinal match, or semifinal match, but senior division final match where Pokemon are kind of being knocked out left and right. Is a very aggressive game. I wouldn't be shocked if we see similar pacing here. Both sides have very strong offensive options. They also both have the Qian Pao. We've been seeing some pretty quick games when both players have that, because the whole point of the Pokemon is that it helps enable physical attackers to dish out a bunch of damage. So again, likely to see on the field a pretty high percentage of the time, and particularly strong next to that Dragon Ball. I don't know if I'm still a little bit traumatized from seeing the devastation it caused at the North America International Championship Finals, but it'll be interesting to see if Shohei has a better answer than we saw in that matchup.
It's certainly something, when left unchecked, that can cause some problems, but the Qian Paos can do the work too. I mean, Icicle Crash feels like a really good choice here when you're looking down at Dragon Ball, down at Rillaboom. The one thing we do have to talk about, and something that is actually going to be huge in this matchup, looking across the teams, is the use of terrestrialization. It's obviously our mechanic for this year, and a good use of that mechanic could swing a match very drastically. You've got plenty of Pokemon who are able to terrestrialize defensively and help themselves out, obviously drop some of those weaknesses and push themselves into a way better position.
Yeah, I think it's going to be particularly important because there's a bunch of Pokemon in this matchup that can't protect. Michael in particular, only half of his team is able to protect with the Choice Band in one Pokemon, a Choice Scarf in another, and then an Assault Vest. So maybe some sort of defensive terrestrialization can be very important in this matchup.
I mean, does protecting really matter when you've got Urshifu on both sides anyway? Just being able to use the Unseen Fist ability to just land those attacks guaranteed. We may as well just go all in.
Yeah, I think it's a really clever metagame adaptation, right? Where perhaps anticipated correctly that most of the top teams would contain one of those Urshifu, able to avoid being one of those situations where an item does nothing, which could be the case for one of the Pokemon on the other side of the field. The safety gap is not looking like it's going to be doing a whole lot for the Landorus in this matchup.
Not great value for the Landorus, just not being able to deal with something like the Amoonguss, but I do still think Landorus can do some good work. It can maybe force something like the Heatran into using its Terra typing of grass, and just being able to try and deal with some of these really kind of hard Pokemon to get around could be a definite use of it. It's also, being able to bring the Intimidate is going to help out quite significantly against some of these Pokemon on Michael's side.
We're about to get in the game here. I'm eager to see what both Pokemon, or both players bring. I think on Michael's side, you may be a little more limited in what Pokemon you can select, but
taking the field as his lead. It's going to be Qian Pao and Amoonguss from the side of Shohei. But I guess the unique things on Michael's team are right at the fore of this final strategy.
Yeah, and I think we see a situation where it could matter a lot. We heard in the interview that Icicle Crash could be a key element of this match. I guess the reason why is because that Farigiraf is going to make the potential sucker punch for this Qian Pao not nearly as threatening as Dragapult as it would normally be.
And the Dragapult is really in a sticky situation, but it's not going to be from the Qian Pao this turn, as Shohei switches it out in place of that Urshifu. So they'll be landing on the field, ready to do some work next turn, leaving just the Amoonguss. We're getting terrestrialization in turn number 1. It is going to be on to the Amoonguss, so trying to keep itself safe with that very standard now defensive water terrestrialization, making sure that it's not being caught by something like the Psychic out of the Farigiraf. Dragapult kicks us off with a Dragon Dance though, getting a good chunk of damage down onto both of them, but not really threatening anything else. The Farigiraf does follow up onto the Amoonguss, will not get the knockout thanks to that Terra typing, will of course activate the berry, so Amoonguss looking pretty healthy after it's just tanked up a couple of attacks from Michael's side, and in response it's able to spore and put this Dragapult right to sleep.
Dragapult not getting a whole lot done there. Everybody shot some damage match, but a little different approach to the Dragapult than we saw in the North American National Championships, right? Just a bunch of Phantom Force there, which in this case would have avoided the score for a single turn, but still a bunch of damage going down on the field. And I think it's something that Joey's going to be careful about, right? Potentially some powerful offensive Pokemon on the backside of the field. And Michael's side, if things get weakened, maybe you can pick up a chain of knockouts, even if you fall behind and score early in the match.
Being able to keep the momentum going is going to be absolutely huge in the matchup between these teams. The Dragapult is definitely in danger. Now it's asleep. He didn't really get much done in that first turn. That side of the field for Shohei, though, is going to keep on being a revolving door of Pokemon as Urshifu leaves just as quickly as it came in. He reveals his fourth and final Pokemon in that Fluttermane. Farigiraf will leave the field, not feeling like it needs to protect against something like the Sucker Punch. As Rillaboom comes in, that is going to be a bit of a problem for that Amoonguss down the line, potentially. Now it's a water type. Grassy Surge will get that grassy terrain set up. Dragapult will remain asleep for this turn, and Amoonguss is going to try and spore. So a great switch for multiple reasons there for Michael Couch.
A great switch in the Fluttermane as well. Sort of a strange situation here. That Dragapult, as we see with most Dragapult, is holding the choice band item, so not going to be able to avoid staying locked into a Dragon type attack against the Fluttermane. But one of the fun parts of that move is it won't target a Pokemon that's immune to it. So, the Amoonguss perhaps looking a little scared, facing down both Rillaboom and a Dragapult that now could potentially wake up.
It's a little unfair for the Amoonguss. He's doing so much work trying to set the board up for Shohei to sweep through. But in exchange, it's going to get 2 Dragon Darts if this Dragapult wakes up. To keep that in mind, he's just protecting it this turn. Doesn't want the Dragapult to wake up and get the knockout, as it will remain asleep. So this is going to be a good old turn for the Fluttermane as it fires off the Dazzling Gleam. Dragapult to take that one. This will be our first knockout here in the Masters Finals. Rillaboom, though, will targeting to attempt on that Amoonguss, and it's 3-3 already. Rillaboom taking a good amount of recoil, making sure it gets to activate a berry as well. So it's going to heal up with the Citrus Berry, and now we're in a very sticky situation as both trainers have to replace their fallen Pokemon.
I'm excited to see what this final Pokemon on Michael's side of the field could make a big difference here. It is a disadvantage in a video game championship match if you have to reveal all your Pokemon first, go on the other side to plan a little bit, but both players kind of wind up in a position there where, kind of regardless of what they thought in the back, they almost had no choice but to trade.
Yeah, I think that was the really big turn for both trainers, right? You've got to get a knockout there on the Dragapult or else it's going to start waking up and causing problems with those Dragon Darts. But Michael, getting the Woodhammer knockout onto the Fluttermane means that one of those big offensive options is gone. Farigiraf will take the field, so definitely trying to help out as Chiempao comes back in for Shohei. That is going to put a huge amount of pressure down onto this Rillaboom. It certainly does have an answer that could potentially be used, but Farigiraf is making sure that no Sucker Punches come out from that side.
Yeah, interesting spot here. One thing to keep on is Farigiraf. It's not really the traditional Trick Room you see here with both of the 2 quickest Pokemon in the matchup being on Michael's side of the field, but Farigiraf does know Trick Room would be an option perhaps for trying to get this Rillaboom in a situation where it doesn't just immediately get chunked by Icicle Crash.
It doesn't want to just take one of those for free, especially considering it's already lost a good amount of its health and used its Citrus Berry. Farigiraf can almost try and help out on the offensive though. A couple of offensive choices on that side to help out. It is going to be the Terrestrialization from Michael's side, saving it for a little bit later, and he's going with the Rillaboom, trying to keep it safe from that Chiempao with the Poison type Terrestrialization, one that is going to be pretty hard to answer with the options that are selected by Shohei. There's the Icicle Crash. The Rillaboom will take that much better, sticking but not getting it done. What a huge momentum swing.
Oh, it's a bunch of crazy turns in the senior division match, and they're happening right again here. Perhaps that doesn't happen. Rillaboom's able to knock out the Amoonguss. That score never happens. Likely, Trick Room goes up looking at a very different situation. Instead, Shohei picks a huge lead up here, evening out the knockouts, but it's a dominant board position.
It's a really, really good ball position. This Rillaboom not able to do much. If it wants to go for one of these big wood hammers to try and take the knockout, then it's just going to aim to the recoil. It's not able to stick around for multiple turns.
Yeah, it's almost worse that it's on the field now, right? Where kind of just sitting there waiting to be knocked out. We haven't seen that final Pokemon, but not a whole lot that Michael can do in this one. Not really threatening any damage.
Well, we've got to wonder what that final Pokemon is with the fact he was trying to Trick Room on that turn. Rillaboom will protect himself. Shohei is feeling pretty good, just sucker punching into the trigger wrap. Doesn't really matter there. But of course, the trigger wrap is going to remain asleep. Amoonguss will fall apart, heading towards the trigger wrap with a good chunk down. This is once again one of those battle-ready Amoonguss that we've been seeing all weekend.
Hey, I guess doesn't really need to do anything else in that turn, right? Wasn't a whole lot of threat, any damage coming either way. It is a little cheeky to see the sucker punch there with the trigger wrap on the field, but as it turned out, it wouldn't really have mattered too much what the Qianpao did there.
I don't think it was going to make any difference. Maybe getting a little bit of extra damage down. Rillaboom really not feeling this endgame ball position with a low amount of health. We do get to see Michael's fourth and final Pokemon is another one of those Qianpao.
Yeah, I wondered if it might be the heat train away with this position, but we'll have to see if the Qianpao can really, but it's the opposing Qianpao pitching the icicle crash.
Trigger wrap also makes and is firing off a dazzling gleam, so getting the Qianpao to below half. Amoonguss will fire back with a pollen puff, but it's not enough for the knockout onto the trigger wrap. Even with a critical hit, it is dangerously low and it is going to be easy to pick up. Does get to try and recover at least a little bit with this grassy terrain as it does disappear at the end of this turn. The Qianpao on the board, certainly an interesting one.
Yeah, watch these two Qianpao. There's a bunch to keep in mind of his turn. Critical that the icicle crash missed, keeping the focus sash of Michael's Qianpao intact. But one key difference between these two Pokemon is that Qianpao does not know the Sacred Sword move. Usually it would be a big deal for trying to pick up the knockout on the other side. Because that Qianpao's been weakened by that surprisingly devastating dazzling gleam, maybe it'll still have enough damage to knock it out, but critical turn here.
Trigger wrap doing some of the heavy lifting in that previous turn with dazzling gleam, so being able to get a good amount of damage down on Qianpao, obviously break the sash and make it way easier to pick up in future.
Keep in mind the Amoonguss as well, looking much better in the field now without that Rillaboom, but no reach punch coming in here.
Well, there's the icicle crash on the side of Michael's Qianpao. With one of those dazzling gleams, and Amoonguss left alone to cause problems.
That's a tough spot now. We see how damaged this Rillaboom is. The Qianpao not just falling asleep, but not getting to use any of the turns of the sleep on that. So even if the Rillaboom were say to go for a protect here, Qianpao would not be able to wake up. But we see a situation next turn where that Rillaboom's going to be in some serious trouble.
I don't know if the Rillaboom can get much done, especially with it being so low. Michael needs his Qianpao to wake up as soon as possible, but it's not going to be this turn. And Shohei can certainly turn the screw here in the Masters Finals. I don't know if Rillaboom even wants to try and go for a Woodhammer. Getting rid of Amoonguss would be great, but is it worth it when it's one of your last two Pokemon? Qianpao starting off though with the Sacred Sword. That is down to the sash. It's already looking pretty dicey. This could be one of the final turns in game one. Obviously, has to take that turn of sleep. Didn't act after the spore. Rillaboom though will just go for it with the Woodhammer. Does get the knockout onto Qianpao, so does start to level things up a little bit, but it's so weak after that recoil does hit. As Amoonguss will double up onto the Qianpao. Just to make sure it doesn't wake up and cause problems.
Hey, Amoonguss not the most offensively threatening Pokemon in the game, but when you only have one hit point after activating a Focus Sash, even Amoonguss can easily pick up that knockout.
Amoonguss picking up knockouts here in the Masters Finals, something that's been a bit of a theme and something I'm very happy to see. It is a 2v1 situation though, and Rillaboom, it's got some grassy terrain healing, but it's not really healed enough to put it in a great position as Urshifu takes the field, not letting him sit and protect and try and heal. Imagine Urshifu is just going to tidy this one up in the following turn, if not, giving the benefit over to the Amoonguss. Amoonguss taking a turn off fighting this one, gone pacifist for a little bit, making sure it throws away any attacks. One surging strike to bring it down to two. The second one will get
It feels like a dominant first game, but I think there's kind of a lot to go back and think about that one, right? There was that one really crazy turn where it seemed like the game could have gone either way, so I don't think either side could be too shaken up going into the second game.
No, I think Michael's going to be able to